Well, Sanchez says his government has been in constant communication with the Moroccan authorities. Ceuta, with a population of just over 80,000 people, has been the subject of past diplomatic disputes between the two countries. And as a result, the local population is highly attuned to the issue of migration. Now, to learn more about the territory and how it fits into the migration issue, I want to welcome Javier Zarzalejos. He is a Spanish member of the European Parliament and the chair of its Committee on Civil Liberties, Justice and Home Affairs. Very good to have you on the program. Thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me.
So what we've just seen, according to Spanish authorities, is one of the largest mass migrant crossings, overwhelming the local services there, prompting Spain to deploy the military. From the European Parliament's perspective, what does this crisis tell us right now about the EU's current migration and border policies?
Well, it's clear that it is an unprecedented situation. We have had an immigration crisis in the European Union, but basically due to military conflicts or people who were displaced, or because they were part of some sort of hybrid war strategies. This is not the case what has happened in Ceuta, in which a very small city, 80,000 people of population, has seen the regular entry of over 50,000 migrants. And I said this is unprecedented. And it shows that the European Union has to be a chain in which all the parts have the same strength. Otherwise, the whole migration policy and our ability to manage our borders simply won't work.
You know, we are hearing from Spanish officials saying that smugglers may have exploited a recent Supreme Court ruling over immigration. What is your understanding about that ruling, and whether there was a misunderstanding or misinformation that was spread amongst these migrants who made this crossing?
Well, first of all, that ruling referred to crossings by sea, people, swimming, not overcoming any sort of physical obstacle. But most of the migrants that have entered Ceuta regularly have done so through the border passing, not through the sea. So the argument has a very little, I would say, impact on that. But, we know that there's been misinformation through the social network encouraging particularly young people to cross the border. We do know that, migrant smuggling rings and organizations do operate in the region, but I think that neither of those elements can account for what is happening. Because, and even if we think that the migrant smuggling rings are responsible for what has happened, I think that if you follow that argument, you should conclude that a chaos brought about by a criminal organization operating from Morocco against Spain, well, that's quite a worrying situation.
It certainly is. The European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen called the images we're seeing unacceptable, emphasizing that stronger external borders are needed, dismantling of these smuggling networks must happen, and of course the swift return to what is permitted under EU law. But beyond all those statements, what concrete assistance can Spain expect from the European Union in the coming days and weeks?
Well, I think it's clear that unfortunately the Spanish authority failed to anticipate what was going on the other side of the border. First, Spain has resources, has expertise, but they haven't been used, they haven't been placed properly, in this case in Ceuta. And so the first thing is that Spain can use their own resources and to apply them to ensure that such a situation simply doesn't happen again. Second, of course, the European Union is willing and is offering very important resources through Frontex, which is the border management agency. And I think that we need to cooperate with this agency and making the most of the resources that we are being offered. As I said before, every link in the chain has to be strong. Otherwise, the common management and the common migration policy of the European Union will simply not work. That's why the President of the European Commission has made such a statement.
Well, we really appreciate your time and perspective. Javier Zarzalejos, thanks so much for your time, and good evening to you.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.